Welcome to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. Are you a goofball that loves Giants football? If so, sit back and relax as we talk about the team that both excites and frustrates us so much. And now, here are your goofball hosts, Drew and Rob.
Welcome, fellow goofballs, to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. I am Drew, joined as always by...
I'm me, Rob, the professional one.
Oh, he is all professional. He's very dapper looking today. It's like he was shopping at like Brooks Brothers or something. That's still a thing. I haven't bought like dress clothes for work in so long. I don't even know.
This clearance section of Walmart. No.
They're rolling back prices.
Yeah, the blue light special.
That's Kmart, damn it.
Yes.
No more Kmart.
It's gone the way of the dinosaur.
It has gone the way of Caldor.
Ooh, that's a throwback.
I went there. Bradley's it is. All righty, guys. So we got a lot to go over here with you guys today because the Giants have been in a hiring spree since we last talked to you guys Monday night there. Hired one coach yesterday, hired two more today, promoted three today. They're going crazy. They're handing out dollar bills like they haven't had sex in 6 years and they're at a strip club. It's crazy. So we're ready to go here. Before we do that, though, we're going to give you guys the next segment of our State of the Team series here that we're doing. So we're going to go over for you guys as far as the running back position today, which, let's be honest, here's going to be a lot of Saquon talk. I have a feeling something tells me that might dominate the conversation here.
Most likely.
Yeah. And then we'll go over, like I said, there's new coaches, new positions. And then after that, we'll go over, of course, all the other Giants news, NFL news from around the league there. Keep you guys updated with the latest and greatest what's going on here, including where Wink might go. Ooh, well, there's a rumor now.
Rumor has it.
All righty, so let's get right into the topic here for tonight, the state of the team and the running backs there, because this is an interesting group here. So before we get into what we think is going to happen here with this team going forward, of course we got to go over where are we now, what happened last year here, and it wasn't good with this group, guys. I know we have, one of the biggest names out there, on the team, if not the biggest name, as the star of our running back room there. But this is not a group that I can go, ooh, look at this group did. Wow, ooh, I'm impressed. Like, no, I'm not. Now we can get into whose fault it is. We'll get into that in a little bit here, but let's go over the numbers. Saquon Barkley, 14 games, 962 yards, so just barely missed his next 1,000th season there. Only averaged 3.9 yards per carry, guys. 6 touchdowns on the season. After that, your next 3 top rushers, all of them are quarterbacks, guys. Literally, if you go the most yards on the season, it goes Barkley, Daniel Jones, Tyrod Taylor, Tommy DeVito. That's kind of crazy. After that, you got Matt Breida. Played in all 17 games, had 155 yards on 2.7 yards per carry average, 1 touchdown. You got Eric Gray, 13 games played, 48 yards with a 2.8 yards per carry average.
How many negatives did he have?
There's a lot of negatives I see with Eric Gray, but that's a whole separate.
Yeah, that's a totally different podcast.
Then you got Gary Brightwell, only 7 games played, 19 yards on 2.1 yards per carry average. Maybe Saquon's 3.9 ain't so bad.
Yeah, it's also like
Dion.
I feel like that's unfair to Brightwell because I feel like he only played like 25 snaps.
Yeah, he didn't play a lot. Deion Jackson and Jashawn Corbin both had 1 carry on the season. Jackson for 2 yards, Corbin for 1 yard. So, yeah, altogether, guys, as a group, we averaged 4.1 yards per carry. And that's only because the quarterbacks all were over 5 yards per carry. That's what brought us over. Let's be very frank on that one there.
Yes.
And overall, the quarterbacks had almost 600 yards on the season, guys. So just shy of 600. So yeah, not a bad yards overall for the squad, 1,874 yards. But again, that average is just absolutely horrendous.
Atrocious.
So yeah. So let's get into the going forward here. And obviously the big name to talk about here is Saquon Barkley. So we're gonna wait till the last for him. Because that's gonna, let's be honest, when we start talking about Saquon, we're not gonna get off that topic. That's gonna dominate the conversation here for quite some time, 100%. Probably. So let's go bottoms up, okay? Like a red solo cup in honor of R.I.P. Toby Keith over there.
Ooh.
Oh yeah. I figured I fit him in. I did.
That was nice. That was smooth.
Look at that. That's because I have the tiger. Ooh, Carl Weathers also died this week.
Yeah.
Former NFL player, by the way. Kudos to him on that. I didn't even know that.
Raiders.
I didn't know he was a Raider, honestly. I just knew him as Apollo Creed. I knew him as a guy from Predator. And I also
kudos to that guy.
He also popped in occasionally on the show Psych, if you remember that show on USA Network a while ago.
Vaguely. But kudos to that guy because he had a career in the NFL, which is very hard to do. He also had a career in movies, also very hard to do. He was also in the NFL that converted over into movies.
He also
super
had a
hard
mustache.
to do.
He had a great mustache. That was a spectacular stash. That's one of the top 10 stashes in all of movie history.
Oh, yeah. Without a doubt. Fun fact, though, about Rocky 1.
I think how easily we get distracted.
Right? I have to bring it up because we're talking about Carly Weathers, one of the greatest of everything of all time.
One of the greatest
because it's all in the hips.
A boxing movie.
Well, listen, he was also
it's all in the hips. Oh yeah, I forgot about him as Chubbs and Adam Sandler's Happy Gilmore. Oh yes.
When he auditioned for Rocky,
yes,
he did not know that Sylvester Stallone wrote and was going to direct and was going to star in this movie. He just knew that he was casting for Apollo Creed. So when they got into the ring and they started talking about like what they're going to do in the final fight, boxing around, Kyle Weathers turns around after we're done. He goes, "Don't worry. Once I get the real actor in here, this is going to look a lot better."
Ooh.
And that is actually what got him the role. Is he wanted that Sylvester Stallone wanted that cockiness in Apollo Creed.
Yep. He was definitely that. All right, let's get into the running backs here. Let's back on topic here. So Deshaun Corbin, I'm gonna put him last year. He's under contract for the year, no guaranteed money whatsoever. So that to me screams camp body.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen him a couple of years now. We know what he is. He's a borderline guy that in an absolute pinch emergency you might put on a team as a backup. No disrespect to the man, but that's what he is. Deion Jackson, same scenario and same summary. Under contract for next year with no guaranteed money whatsoever. He'll probably come in as a camp body, and that's it.
Yeah.
Gary Brightwell. He's entering his fourth year, his last year of his rookie deal there. Now, Gary Brightwell is an interesting one for a couple of reasons. One, again, he's on the last year of his contract. That means he is releasable. Beyond that, he's not a guy that Joe Shane drafted. This is a guy that was drafted by Gettleman for Joe Judge specifically, who liked his special teams play. Now, his cap space number is about $1.1 million. We only saved $44 million. If I said $44 million, $44,000 in that case cut him, but no, only $44,000 if we cut him. So he'll probably be on the roster one more year because of that number. Unless he just bombs in training camp and they go, we'll eat the $1 million. Goodbye. It's not like it's $20 million. It's $1 million. It's not the end of the world. But yeah, he's going to get a decent shot, obviously. Eric Gray, obviously, he's entering just his second season, so he's pretty much a lock to be on the roster next year. I hate to say that. I kind of hope he wouldn't be, but we just drafted him, so he's probably going to be around. Matt Breida is a free agent. Now,
bye.
Yeah, he didn't look bad in 2022, but he regressed like Daniel Jones in 23. I'm telling you, like that's.
I feel like that's yes, but it's also like an unfair understatement because he wasn't used.
He wasn't used at 23 either.
He wasn't, but he had more snaps. And granted,
Yes.
when Barkley was out, he had more snaps this year, and you kind of saw what he was, and that's why he was a backup in this league and not a starter, especially behind someone like Barkley. It kind of shows you how well Barkley helped this offense last year and this year.
Yeah. So I just think it's time. He's in his late 20s now. I believe he's 28. So he'll be 29 next season. So yeah, it's just time to move on, guys. And I hate to say it that way because, again, we're talking about a man's livelihood. I try to respect that, understand what we're talking about there. But this is a business decision. He's not the guy long term. He is, getting a little long in the tooth there. And we got to build this team. You don't build this team with a guy who's a year or two away from retiring. It's not how you build.
Yeah.
Unless you're bringing somebody in who'd be a mentor, a tutor kind of guy. And that's what coaches are there for, guys. So.
And he's not the guy you want to be the mentors. He never dominate as the number one starter anywhere.
Yeah, he had that one good year in San Francisco.
Okay.
He did it that 1 year.
He did dominate, but he had that one good year.
He did because he didn't play very much the first half of the year, and they went a little crazy the second half. Remember, he was that kind of guy. I mean, I have to look at the exact year of where he was at that point there. I can look it up. We're talking game logs for 2018.
I was going to say, was it the year they went to the Super Bowl?
2018. By the way, he's from Brandon, Florida, which is my backyard here, basically. I used to live in Brandon. Let's see here. Yeah, here's his game log. Actually, it's weird his year that year. I remembered it wrong. I remembered it as like his second half was amazing. But no, he had like 46 yards, 138, 90, 39, 56, 50, 61, 15, 42, 44, and then 101, 106. So yeah, he kind of had a weird season. But he was a kind of a out of nowhere kind of guy. But again, I just think that you're talking alone is 5-6 years ago. He's done. That's where I'm at with him. You're not going to rebuild with this guy. It's time to move on. And that leads us to the big guy here. The one that we got to go ahead and talk most about. Exactly. So I had it here in my notes for later on for Giants news, but it comes into this topic here. Jordan Raanan reported on ESPN radio that the Giants are not planning on tagging Saquon Barkley. Saquon also talked this week about his postseason meeting that Joe Shaney mentioned he had with Saquon. His exact quote, "It wasn't much. He just asked me where my head is at. I told him truthfully." Something tells me he's gone. And I think mostly the reason I'm going to saying that is because I think somebody's going to, if we let him go, I think someone's going to pay him more than Shane wants to pay him. That's my issue. I know there's the rumor that Jim Harbaugh loves him and wants to get him, but I don't see it. And I think part of the issue I have overall is, listen, I got a lot of respect for Saquon. We've talked about it before, where he's exactly who you want to be the face of your franchise as a person. But when you watched him last year, he didn't have that burst. You watched him the year before, we talked about it, where he had a great year, but we're like, he wasn't quite as good as he used to be that first year. I just don't think he has some of what made him special anymore. And you got a guy now, again, in the late 20s. It's probably a year or two before he's to like a backup role or a part of a rotational role. And the Giants, if you look at the way they've used this man, they've used and abused the hell of him. Let's be honest.
They put a lot of wear and tear in those tires.
Yeah.
But I agree what you're saying, but I also don't at the same time. So
you have to pick a side.
No, because the way I feel like you're explaining it, you're talking about like he's top caliber and now he's second tier. When you fall from number 1 or 2, top 3 running backs in the NFL and fall to the top 5 or 6, you're still a great asset to a team. But my thing is, I understand why they don't want to spend over $12 million on this guy coming up. What team needs a running back?
I'm going to give you a couple of names. I want to give you a couple of names real quick because you said where he sits as far as running backs. I don't think I have to ask on CMC, right? We're going to agree that CMC is better. Okay. Josh Jacobs.
I think he fell harder than Saquon.
Josh Jacobs had a great second half to the year once they got rid of the joke of a coach. I would put him actually above, only because of that. He had a better yards per carry average. He had a much better second half. So, you're disagreeing on that one, or just to be clear?
I'm impartial.
Okay.
I see what you're saying, but like I don't see that outweighing everything.
I got you. Like I said, you know me. You're perfectly fine at having a different opinion than I do. You know, I don't get upset about that. I'm trying to see where you're at as far as that. Because to be honest, I don't know where I put him. I still put him in top 10, but I'm not putting him as much higher than I thought I would. Like, let's say, for example, Cook in Buffalo. You gonna put him over Cook?
I would probably put him over Cook. Grant,
Cook had 1,100 yards, 4.7 yards per carry average.
So there's also, you have to take into consideration how he was utilized this year. So the first half of the year for Cook, he was not used. No one knew how to scheme against him. No one knew how he runs. No defenses like really understood how he was going to work. And then all of a sudden they fire their OC, and they said, "Oh my God, we have this guy that can run the ball." And the first few games that new OC or the interim OC comes in, this guy has great games. Of course, his stats are going to look better the second half of the year. So to me, it's like, I hear what you're saying, but
he still had a better season, though.
But it's also unfair to say he had a better season just because some of the stats. Everyone knows Barkley's the guy. Everyone knows that's our dude. Like, he's going to come out there. He's going to come out hard. No one knew that playing Buffalo, especially after losing 6 games, that Cook was their guy. And then they fire their OC, and they start utilizing
the running back that
they haven't used.
Gave him a chance to be used. Yeah, he was always good. They just weren't using him.
You're right. He wasn't used, so he wasn't schemed against defenses. And no one, like, everyone looks at
he was eventually
Buffalo.
He was
eventually. You're right, but everyone looks at when they go to play against Buffalo, who do they got to worry about? Josh Allen. When everyone comes to play New York Giants, who do they say? Who do you got to worry about? Saquon Barkley. So there's a difference there.
I hear you. How about Kyron Williams?
Yeah, he was a dude. He had a good year.
Let's see. I'm going to give you a weird one that I think most people would fight me on until they look at the numbers. I just happen to have the numbers in front of me. So the reason I haven't thought of him.
Yeah,
James Conner. James Conner with the Cardinals. Not to be confused with Sean Conner of the Resistance. 13 games. So, he ended up with one less game than Saquon. He had 1,040 yards, 5 yards per carry average.
What games did he miss? The last few of the year.
Right? I'd have to. It was in the middle of the season.
Because he had an amazing start where he was the number 1 solid dude through.
Yeah, and then he got hurt.
Football.
And then came back.
But he had absurd numbers. Like, he was running 150 yards, 160 yards a game. So that kind of obscures how he finishes.
So, like I said, I'm looking at the whole picture of the season here. David Montgomery. I can make the argument David Montgomery had a better year than Saquon.
You could. He flew under the radar. He was definitely he's in the conversation in the top 5.
Raheem Mostert. And I'm not, guys, I don't want people to read this wrong when I do it this way. I'm not trying to knock Saquon.
I understand.
I root for the guy. I really do root for the guy. I just don't think he has some of what made him special anymore. I really don't. And the problem is, if you're going to tell me we can sign Saquon year by year, sign me the hell up.
I agree with that. But my thing is, you take Saquon, he goes to Miami, replaces Mercer. He has a way better season than he does. Saquon has a better season. Between HN being super fast and the way that Barkley runs, he's going to get probably an extra 500 yards down in Miami. Just the way that offense is set up, like you have no idea of where the ball is going or who to try to stop.
I'm just saying, I said, my whole issue really boils down to the fact that I don't know how much longer Saquon is a legitimate star in this league. And he's still a star. Like I said, I'm not trying to delegitimize him as a star. But I don't know how much more he's going to be a star for. And that's what worries me. Because I look at it going, okay, we're going to put a 3-year deal on a guy. Year to year, I don't know what he is. I know some people get upset when he gets called injury plagued. He's injury plagued, guys. Let's call it what it is. Let's not beat around the bush and BS what Saquon is. Okay? Because
he has played completely healthy seasons.
That's it. Out of 5.
That's what I'm saying. That's 2 out of 5.
That's actually out of 6 because he was out of all of 2020.
Touche. Hey, listen.
So
it comes down to like how many times you're going to eat dinner a week. Are you going to eat 6 times a week or 2 times a week? You're going to take 6 times.
I'm just saying, if you went to a restaurant 6 times and they gave you 2 good meals,
you're not going to go back.
You're not going to go back. So we have to talk about this. He's an older, injury-plagued running back who when healthy, is still a star in this league. But we don't know year to year how healthy he's going to be. We don't know if he loses the rest of his burst because he's definitely lost some of it. He still has some. He's still faster than most people on the field. But you saw him this year get tackled by people from behind, and that wasn't Saquon. Now, you can also make the argument of how much was the ankle injury still bothering him. I don't know. None of us know. But I remember last year saying the same thing, that I watched him, and we saw guys catching him from behind. Again, not everybody. He's still faster than most people. But he was the fastest man on the field before these injuries started in his rookie season. Nobody was catching him. If you got him at past the secondary, he was going right to the house. There was no doubt about it.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. But part of that is also the injuries and also how much has the game changed.
Oh, like I said, 100%.
Let's look at the past. Look how big the guys have come out of the draft the past couple of years. We joked about HN just being minute, but he's probably the fastest guy out there.
So I think that where I stand overall, though, with him is if we could go ahead and get a deal that's got whatever money we need for this year. I'm cool with spending some money this year on him. I really am. But if it's got much more than like $4 million guaranteed for next season, I don't want to do it. And I like the strategy Joe Shane's giving because one of 3 scenarios is going to happen, basically. Saquon's going to have an offer from the Giants, and that's going to be coming before he hits free agency at the scouting combine. They've already said that. So either he's going to get an offer from the Giants that nobody else beats. He's going to get an offer from the Giants, and we're going to have a chance. Offer somebody else other than the Giants that will have a chance to match because he wants to be a Giant. Or he won't give us the chance to match, and he didn't want to be here. And if you don't want to be here, don't let the good Lord hit you with. The door hit you with the good Lord split you.
Yeah,
Like,
I feel it's going to be in between option 1 and 2. Like, it's going to be like, we're going to offer something. He might get a better deal.
I think honestly, he's got a shot at
But-
it, and I can't blame the guy. Again, he's going to be 27 years old going into the season. He is already starting to slow down. You can see it. So this might be his last chance for a payday.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
I hear people all the time saying, "Oh, Saquon never got a big contract, and he's going to be 27 years old." Guys,
got a
remember
big
this:
contract.
he was the second overall pick in the draft.
you got a big contract.
You got a big contract. He was one of the top 5 paid running backs his entire rookie contract, basically, because of where he was drafted.
Yeah.
So, like I said, stick that in your pipe and smoke it.
I think what happened last year was a reality check for Senior Barkley, if you will, because he looks at the top 5 players. If they make it in the league, how much more do they make coming out their rookie year? The problem is when you're a top 5 quarterback picked or any other position, mostly quarterback, like you get your quarterback for cheap, and then you have to pay them once they succeed. If they don't, then good riddance. He came in, just like you just said, top 5 paid running back and a lucrative market where he can make a lot of money in endorsements. And the fact that he didn't get that much percentage more like a quarterback maybe blew his mind. And he was still upset. And maybe it was a reality check that, hey, $12 million is kind of the market right now for running backs. So if we turn around and offer him,
I don't even think.
Yeah.
I don't
But
think
if you turn around and offer him,
I really don't.
Yeah, but I'm saying if the Giants turn around and offer him $12 million, $11 million with it, incentives and whatever how they structure, how many other teams out there want a 27-year-old running back that's going to cost them $15 million?
I think the only teams that would are the people who think he's a missing piece, kind of like CMC was for the Niners. And I don't know who you'd put in that category right now. I mean, I could sit here and say the Ravens. I could sit here and say the Texans. That kind of team that's maybe going to the playoffs and has a very good team, but thinks that he's that missing piece that can kind of get them over the edge. That's maybe the people Texans. I think we'll consider. I'll tell you, the Ravens are a name I keep hearing like crazy with them. Out of all the names, I never really hear the Chargers. I never really hear the Texans too much. It's the Chargers and the Ravens I hear more than anything else. I hear some of the Chargers. I was on some of the some on the Texans, but the other 2 were the ones I hear mostly on, which to me is crazy. I think the Texans actually is the best fit for him if he used to leave us.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Because look at the cap they have down there. How much are they paying Lamar Jackson, who's their best running back every year?
Well, the Ravens you're talking about, he just signed a big contract. He's one of the highest paid, if not the highest paid quarterback.
$220 million guaranteed.
But they don't have a lot of weapons outside of Mark Andrews that's making any money. Because keep in mind, OBJ was a 1-year deal. They got Zay Flowers on a rookie deal. They can afford to pay him.
I don't know what the cap space is like, but I know Houston. They'll
find a way. If they think he's the missing piece, if you're a GM of a team and this is my missing piece, I'm gonna find a goddamn way to do it because I want a ring. Because if I win a ring, I'll be remembered forever well in this franchise. If I don't, I'll be the guy who couldn't get it done.
I hear you.
These guys get desperate in these scenarios. And I think somebody's going to offer him some money because of that. Now, is it going to be more than what the Giants will offer him? I'm not so sure.
That's what I'm saying.
But somebody's going to throw some money at him.
The Ravens made a statement last year that they don't like throwing money at a piece they think that's going to solve the problem until like
How do they not?
last minute.
They say, okay, OBJ threw a schnicky load of money at him. Way overpaid.
OJ, how long ago was that?
Or no, OBJ.
Oh, I think it's OJ.
Not like, OJ. OJ was
like,
in the Bills.
I was like, wait a minute.
Like I said, I think that's what's going to happen. I think he's going to shop the offer around he gets from the Giants. And I do think he'll come back with us a chance to go ahead and match it. And it's just a matter of if the offer is enough that we want to. Or is it an offer gets enough where we go, you know what, we can't do this. Because, guys, again, you look at the teams that win, they don't have high-paid running backs.
I mean, correct. And just to allude off what you're saying, so to say Houston turns around, offers them $15 million, right?
Yeah.
The Giants go, no, we can't go over 13. We told you 12. But hey, kiss that $5 million in endorsements that you have in the New York market goodbye.
Yeah.
Do you think he stays?
Kiss that free tax out of Texas goodbye.
Touche.
Every place is a pro and a con.
I'm just saying, like he's not going to have the endorsement market as he does in
no.
And New York, you're going to make way more money.
Quite frankly, though, I don't think he has another year or two anyway. I think once he starts losing, what makes him special even more, it's gonna go away. That's what happens. Again, it's business for them too. They want to deal with the star, not the has-been.
Correct.
And he's not at that point yet, but he's probably only a year or two away from it, guys. You got to be realistic with this.
Yeah. And kind of alluding off what we were talking about, with all this crazy, hiring with the coaches, the head coaches. Do they want to take a guy that they think is going to play for another year or two, maybe 3, or draft a young guy that thinks going to be their new stud, or someone that could help develop?
Honestly, in a perfect world, what I would do is I would sign a veteran, like a 25-year-old kind of player, not a 30-year-old, obviously, like a 25-year-old, which is a veteran in the running back world. I would go ahead and draft one. And then I would let Eric Gray and Gary Brightwell fight it out for the 3rd spot. And let's let it go. And if I sign Barkley, I just don't get the veteran. I just draft one and let those 2 guys fight it out for the 3rd spot.
Yeah, I mean, granted, you sign Barkley or you sign the veteran, it's the same scenario. You're signing a veteran.
Because you don't need to get a veteran at that point. And then you still need to draft him, because one of the things I've always said forever, and I think the Giants, this is why I say the Giants, I don't think wanted to keep him long term. They have beaten this guy on the ground, like nonstop, letting him run, like never taking the guy out of the game. Guy gets hurt, he comes back right back in. This is not good for his long-term health as a football player. And once you start paying him, you're paying him because he's special, and you're paying him because he's an asset. And you want to keep him as an asset. You need to rest the guy. I think he really needs to have a second head in that backfield, that they can go back and forth, switch back and forth. And obviously, with the way Saquon is, I'd want like a power runner kind of guy. And that's what I'm hoping they do. Because I still hope we get Saquon. I just don't think we do. You let him go, someone's going to pay him. Who? I don't know. Someone will pay him. That's the way the free agency tends to run.
Yeah, he would definitely go somewhere. I just don't know where. And I would like to say Atlanta Falcons, because they just like collecting running backs.
Yeah. Yeah, they have enough running backs. I think it's the one position they're good at. They'll probably draft another one in the 1st round. All right.
Jose.
Let's get into all this coaching talk. We got so many coaches here. Coaches.
So many. It's like coaches with the Oprah.
Before we do that, though, let's get some of the comments here. And well, what the hell? Let's pay the bills while we're out of here. Let's pay the bills, and then we're gonna get to the comments. Oh yes, we're doing
Enjoying
it.
the show? Looking for more goofball action? Consider a membership at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs. Memberships start at just $5 and give you additional goofball access. One-time support payments also available starting at just $3. buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs.
We lost Rob. He's out there signing up now. Connor says, bye, Saquon. He says, definitely not fair. Bring guy in, he's getting ball now. Of course, they shut him down. Giants game plan sucks. Got to mix it up, pass instead of run first, etc. Put 2 backs in the backfield. Yeah, again, this is why I'm saying we need a second back. Regardless if we keep him or not, we need a 2-back system at that point there. No more of this workhorse thing because you're killing him. Like he's going to be done in a year or 2 in the league, let alone as a star player if you keep playing the way he is. He also says, Toby Keith, rest peaceful, brother. Yeah, that was a little sad one for me there yesterday. My whole family was Toby Keith people. So, yeah, definitely, not an easy one there. Connor says, there is no tomorrow. You have that edge, that eye of the tiger. Dude.
Bop. Bop, bop, bop.
Connor says, be a thinker, not a stinker. And then rest peaceful, Carl Weathers. Yeah, it's like this. There's 2 people that was like, whoa. Connor says, just don't go to Cal Pukes, probably end up in San Diego or Texans. Yeah, I don't think Dallas would take him, though I have heard people discuss that. Dallas has got their own problem, guys, right now with money.
I was about to say.
Yeah. You got to pay Dak like $60 million next year. He said, I think Cal Pukes get Henry. I don't think so. I don't. I really don't. I still think he's going to go somewhere where you're not going to, same as Saquon, you're not going to know who. There's so many free agent running backs. And that's part of why I'm saying, yeah, let's just let Barkley go where he wants to go. And he wants to be here. Great. Because you got, Derrick Henry, you got Tony Pollard, you got Josh Jacobs, you got so many guys coming out this year. Austin Eckler. There's running backs galore. We'll find a running back. Don't you worry.
Yeah.
It's not that big a concern. The biggest thing is you want one that, is going to be good. Yeah. And cheap. Deb says, in retrospect, do you think he should have been the number 2 pick overall? No. Point blank, no. By all accounts, he was Dave Gettleman was getting calls to move up with the Broncos, the Jets, and he just didn't even pick up the calls. He ran like a kid in Christmas morning to the podium. So happy to get
kid with Kit.
And what also makes no sense why he was so excited. What do you think was going to happen? Cleveland was going to take him. That wasn't him in this scenario. There's no way in hell that was going to happen. Think that the team that needed a quarterback to take him? Why be so excited? This should be the expected outcome. Gettleman. Connor says, hey, we didn't take chance on McCaffrey. That's the guy I wanted. Everyone said because of his dad. I said, no, watch the tape. I got to be honest. I don't remember his college tape. I remember he was a good player. I just don't remember the college tape. Connor says, could have had McCaffrey, Myles Garrett, or Patrick Mahomes. Only thing Matt could do was right about. Listen, I still think if Patrick Mahomes went to the Giants, we would have screwed him up too. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Put him in a shitty offensive line. Put him with a different offensive coordinator every single year, especially 2 years. Oh my God, 2 years with the clapper himself, Jason Garrett. Like, yeah. No weapons around him to speak of wide receiver wise. I mean, listen, Daniel Jones.
He's bitching about this year going to the Super Bowl with no weapons. At least he's got the best
tight end
on the field, tight end, arguably top. You can say top 3. I think that's a clear case, but arguably like one of the best.
Yeah, I mean, I'll put it this way:
maybe not the best.
Imagine trading Travis Kelce out for Darius Slayton, and then let's see how Mahomes feels. That's basically where we're at. Connor says, if we didn't take Saquon or Cleveland took him instead of Baker, who would we have got? We would have taken Quentin Nelson or Bradley Chubb. One of the two. Deb says, so why would another team want to pay Saquon more? I'm not sure he will get what he wants from anybody. I don't think he will at all.
Well, I think we answered that. Like, if you think that's your missing piece, like your CMC manager
You're
story.
still not going to overpay the guy.
No, but
Again,
you might,
so many running backs, and he's this close to the end.
But you might. Everyone said that about CMC before he went to the Niners, and that he can't stay healthy. And look at us, yeah, 2 healthy seasons.
Yep.
But you take a chance on a guy like Barkley. If you're, I mean, like I said, possibly the Chargers at this point, but like Baltimore, like you're close to, like you're close. Yeah, you're close to like being that team to go to the Super Bowl. You take a chance. Listen, he could go to Cincinnati for all we know.
He can go. You know what? If Joe Mixon, is he a free agent too? He might be a free agent. So yeah,
he might be, but I mean,
I'm saying,
who would you rather have? Listen, who would you rather have, Mixon or Barkley?
Oh, definitely Barkley, because Mixon, by all accounts, is a horrible human being.
Oh yeah. Besides that, but
I'm just that matters to me. I'm sorry, it does.
It does. What I'm saying, gameplay. So you have Mixon to back up to Barkley, like changes that offense with Joe Burrow as your quarterback, like turn around, they can go back to the Super Bowl next year.
Who knows? At least he'd be used to functioning with a bad offensive line. Connor says, could have gotten Lamar Jackson too. I think Baker would have been good here. He had the edge that I had the Tiger. And he says, playoffs. I just want to win a damn game. He says, I think Saquon would stay with Giants if they offered him a fair 4-year contract buyout in 4th year if he's not doing so good. I don't want that. That's way overpaying.
Too long.
Way overpaying. I think if he gets anything more than 15 to 20 million guaranteed, he consider himself very lucky.
Yeah. If anything, I want to say year to year, but if anything, 2 year, that's it.
Let's see. Your dad's on says, howdy, boys. Howdy,
Dad.
Connor says, get Kirk Cousins. A little expensive, but he knows how to distribute the ball around. Nope, not going to happen.
Yeah.
He said, Brandon Jacobs' son is in this draft, or he's an offensive lineman. I thought he was just getting into college, but yeah, he's a very big guy. He says, back to Deb. I think Saquon worth the pick, but we ruined Eli and Saquon, not fixing the O-line, which also ruined OBJ diva girl because of O-line. OBJ was bound to upload it himself anyway. It's what he does. He's done it everywhere else. Eli is not ruined by the offensive line, but we definitely didn't maximize his final years. Saquon also not ruined by the offensive line. He's ruined because he's got a frail body when it comes to injuries, and he keeps getting hit because of the position he plays. That's all it is. He says, hey, what if Harbaugh trades Herbert for picks, gets his running back he had and his QB? I don't think he can based on the cap space. But if he could, I'd be in the market for that in a heartbeat. So
that's interesting. But didn't Herbert just sign a deal?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I don't think he can. I don't think he can get out of the contract whatsoever. You know.
And I'm pretty sure that's why Harbaugh went there, because you got a dude and your quarterback already.
Oh yeah. There's no Colin Kaepernick and Alex Smith. It's like a guy that most people think is legit that's just not getting his full potential right now. And I think a lot of that's coaching. We talked about that. I think that Brandon Staley was a ridiculous coach, an embarrassment to the NFL. Never should have been a head coach.
I mean, even like Herbert's rookie year, he was like 4,000 plus yards.
Yeah, every year.
Yeah,
every year. So, all right. Let's get into these coaches here. We got 45 minutes in here. We haven't discussed one single coach yet, guys. We got coaches. First up is the new tight ends coach. We talked about there. We lost our tight end coach in almost a lateral move to the Los Angeles Chargers that we're just talking about. In comes Tim Kelly, just 37 years old. I'm telling you, a lot of these coaches from Tennessee, which is where he comes from, very, very young. I didn't realize how young that staff was overall as a whole. He was the offensive coordinator last year for the Tennessee Titans. Year before, he was the passing game coordinator. Year before that, he spent 3 years as the offensive coordinator with the Texans, tight ends coach, assistant offensive line coach before that, quality control coach before that. Before that was graduate assistant at Penn State and Ball State. I mean, just overall, this is a guy that really went ahead and did his thing at a couple places now to they've actually trusted him with the entire offense. And I think this whole thing is interesting because we know that Kafka's potentially in his last year as a Giant. You know, whether he doesn't re-up with us because he doesn't like the Dable experience, or somebody gives him a head coaching position. He's been, interviewing that the last couple of years. We have a guy now we can have say waiting their wings that has actual experience as an OC. Now you can also say it negatively and go, Mike Kafka, with some issues in the last year of that offense. If you don't straighten out, here's a guy that can move up. Both are legitimate things to say, guys. Very, very legitimate. So, all right. So now I'd love to give you guys more information on him specifically and his offensive game plans. But we have to do a little work on that still. That just came out in the last 24 hours. He was getting hired, so we had to look at that kind of stuff there. But obviously, where you're talking about where he was at, he was with the Texans during the Deshaun Watson days, where they were, a good amount of passing and rub and tugs. But after that, he went to Tennessee, where obviously it's a running offense that they had. So he's played in both systems. Which one he prefers, I don't know. But it makes you wonder if he's one of these guys that Dable said he was going to be from the get-go, that just plays to the strength of the people that are in the room. And if that's the case, that's smart. Now, he'll be a tight ends coach, so he won't have, tons to say per se in the offense there necessarily. But if you don't think that a guy who's a former offensive coordinator is not going to have a say in some things, at least an important voice in the room, you're crazy. Oh, absolutely crazy. And this is another position that I think we need to draft a player at this year to develop him to potentially take over for Darren Waller after next year. Because I do think we'll keep Darren Waller this year. But next year, unless he takes a pay cut, he's probably going to be gone because you can basically get rid of him for nothing. So, again, yes, another spot where we need to develop a guy. And we have a guy that we need to finish developing on top of that, Daniel Bellinger.
I was about to say, we got to talk about Belly at that point.
Yeah, because Bellinger looked much better his rookie year than he did last year, in my opinion. So, was it a coaching issue? Was it a lack of repetition issue because he was, riding the bench for part of the season there? I mean, I don't know, but I'm curious.
I'll think all of the above.
I mean, who knows? Maybe his injuries were still acting up. Maybe he did get injured last year too. So,
yeah.
All right. Next up, we have our offensive line coach, Charlie Bullen, which originally started off as a student assistant there in Iowa, a graduate assistant, went over to the Dolphins, started off as a defensive assistant back in 2012, then assistant defensive line coach 13 to 15, assistant linebackers coach from 16 to 18, assistant linebackers coach again in 2019, now with the Cardinals. 2020, he is the outside linebackers coach for the Cardinals. Now, when he was there, he coached Marcus Golden. Name probably rings a bell, right, Giants fans? Chandler Jones, Hassan Reddick. That's a good crew they had there. Now, how much of that was him? How much was that was them? We're going to find out. But this is an important position, guys, because we have Kayvon Thibodeau, who's still in the process of being trained into being an all-around edge. He has some good sack numbers, was kind of more dominant a few games, opposed to crazy good the whole year. Has some issues with, some of his being fed to the outside and not setting the edge correctly against the run. These are things that he needs a coach to teach him. So hopefully this is the guy. What I really found interesting in the whole thing is last year he was the outside linebackers coach at Illinois. Now their head coach is a name that should be familiar to guys who were Giants fans enough to know. Remember the coaching staff just a couple years ago with Joe Judge, Brett Bielema, who was a defensive coach with Joe Judge his first year with us, and then left the second year to go coach at Illinois. But this is a guy that's got connections within the Giants organization, obviously from being in the building. And don't think for a second that people didn't call him up and ask him his opinion before we made this hire. I guarantee you that.
100%.
So
100%.
it's nice to have a guy that we can go in there that we can get honest opinions out of, and also a guy that's not from Tennessee.
Yeah.
It's a huge. I don't know what it is. We were like a couple of years ago. We was like, "Yo, you're from Buffalo. Hello, come on over."
Oh, yeah.
This year is Tennessee.
Baltimore. Yeah, we had the B&B. We had the Buffalo and Baltimore connection.
Yeah, the B&B Railroad.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's this year is Tennessee,
$200.
and I'm wondering if Dable's got some good relationship with Vrabel, since they're both obviously have Patriot connections there. I don't know the answer to that, but it's interesting. We get our defensive coordinator from him. We get our tight ends coach. So we've now hired 2 of his 3 coordinators. And then on top of that now, we got Zak Kuhr, one of his inside linebacker assistant coaches last year, to be a defensive assistant as well. Now, he started off at Edward Waters, which I had to look it up. It's a university apparently in Jacksonville. Special team coordinator from 2009 to 2010. Just tells you how big a school this is when he started out his coaching career as a special teams coordinator. Not assistant, a special team coordinator. Then goes to Ohio State to be an intern for a couple of years. Running backs coach at James Madison for a year, then becomes the co-offensive coordinator and running backs coach the next year. Running back coach in 2016 with the Rutgers Scarlet Knights there, the hometown Jersey boys there. Co-offensive coordinator and running backs coach with Texas State in 17. Gained the title of assistant head coach in 18 with that as well. Went to Texas in 19 to be assistant coach. And then he goes to the Titans the last couple of years there. So started off in 20 as a quality control coach before spending the last 3 seasons as an inside linebacker assistant. So, he's got some experience there. Interesting. It's a combination of offense and defense. I always find that weird when coaches have that. It's like, pick a side.
I hear what you're saying, but I'm also not against that, because to fully understand how the defense works or how the offense works, you have to understand how the defense works. So when they set up and they do stuff, it's easier to communicate to what side you're coaching and how to react to it.
To me, it's find a strength. Figure out what you're good
But listen, if you want to be great at something, figure out what you're good at. But if you want to be great, know both sides of the ball, and then you can progress.
Well,
like, you may have more of a defensive mind, but knowing how the offense works makes you more strategic to set up your defense.
To me, you just want to have one strength. You want to have that strength, be the strong one. Otherwise, eventually you keep moving around. You wake up saying, I'm not as good as I once was, but I'm as good once as I ever was.
You're not wrong to say that. But once again, if you want to be great at something, you have to know what the opposite side is saying.
Yeah.
So,
like I said,
understanding how offenses line up will make your defense better.
Yeah.
And if you understand and get how that works to teach your defense, that goes a long way.
Yeah, like I said, I find it always interesting when I see that kind of stuff. It's not a knock on this guy specifically. It's just interesting to me always when I see that. I like to keep in my own lane, in my own job, and it's kind of weird to see people bounce around like that. I mean, it's like you want whiskey for your beers, whiskey for your men, beer for your horses. I'm messing up my Toby Keith references. I'm trying to sneak into the show here. I need to stop this. I'm not like that weather guy. You ever seen that weather guy on TikTok and just like throws random songs?
Oh, I just saw a system down or something.
Yeah, like he's like, give him a song. He just randomly puts lines of it into it. It's hilarious. He did one with the To the Window to the Wall song. So Little John and all.
Oh yeah,
he did that one time. It was hilarious. Anyway, that's our 3 new coaches. 2 out of 3 from Tennessee. We've hired 4 coaches now in the last week. 3 out of 4 from Tennessee. So yeah, like I said, it's got to be the Vrabel connection. There's got to be a Vrabel connection to the table there. It's just too many not to be there. But I've never heard it confirmed or talked about before. We also went ahead and promoted a few coaches there.
Oh yeah.
Interesting enough, one of them is Mike Kafka. Now, Mike Kafka, remember, was declined the ability to interview with the Seahawks for their offensive coordinator position. So today it was announced that he's also been given the title of assistant head coach as well on top of that, which I find interesting because it's like, obviously you assume that probably comes more money, a little bit more responsibility. But I wonder if this is Dable's way of saying, listen, I've been a little rough on you. this is my way of publicly showing respect for everything you do.
I mean, yes, publicly, but I also think personally as well. Hey,
Yeah.
listen, I'm going to give you the assistant head coach job, and this is either a win-win or lose-lose for Dable, because what he's going to do is, hey, Kafka, I know for the past 2 years you've been interviewing for a head coaching job, but he took you as a QB coach, you became an offensive coordinator, and you've been trying to become a head seat.
Yep.
Pretty fast. Guess what? Hang out under me this year. We do well next year, you'll probably get that job somewhere else.
Yeah.
And that's probably how it was pitched.
I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was. Now, he's also given an upgraded position to Shea Tierney, who has also been named now the offensive passing game coordinator, along with his current quarterback coach duties. We talked about how now they've hired a guy with offensive coordinator experience in Tim Kelly. By all accounts, if Kafka was to leave, Shea Tierney's the guy who would get the job. So
Correct.
this is another way of showing some respect to a guy that they have respect for. You know, it's nice to see respect being shown right now in the wake of everything going on with the news of what's been said about Dable lately. So the last one is one that I was very happy to see personally. Jerome Henderson. We talked about him. He was the leading candidate for the defensive coordinator spot. I still think he'd be a very good defensive coordinator for somebody somewhere. But in the meantime, they have named him now defensive passing game coordinator. Now, here's what I really like about this whole move. We talked about this in the show Monday. We have a defensive coordinator who specializes in stopping the run. And his teams in the past have had trouble stopping the pass. Now you got a defensive backs coach who's very highly respected in the league now. Very highly respected with an organization. And he's now your defensive passing game coordinator. Meaning it's his responsibility to make sure that part of the defense is running right. Correct. And I do think it's going to be a collaborative effort, this defense. It's not going to be like Wink, where Wink was like, this is my defense. The Wilkins brothers can come talk to me and everybody else no.
Yeah. What you're alluding to, I like. So our DC fixes the problems that we've already had on this defense for quite some time now. Jerome Henderson, we thought it would be great as, the DC. This move to me says he's being conditioned to become the next DC for the Giants when it happens. Because you bring in this guy that's going to fix the issues that we've had, especially since Henderson's been there, shows you how to do it, and then you can take that into your own game plan and hopefully have a more well-rounded defense after. Well, I should say more well-rounded, but to continue on the streak of having a good run stop and
I think they're trying to show respect to a man that they like, that they have a lot of respect for. They're trying to publicly show it and say, you know what? This is a guy that we like a lot. We didn't give him the DC position, but it's not because of lack of respect. We just thought there was a better candidate out there. And we want to show him a thank you and for his loyalty and all the work he's given, especially while there was no defensive coordinator. And he's the one representing the team down in Senior Bowl and everything. So like I said, I thought it was a classy move. I really did.
Yeah.
Now, how much extra work it is for any of these guys, I don't actually know. But usually that kind of stuff comes with a pay increase. That's the key. So, let's get to the rest of the Giants news here.
Ooh,
you know what that means? Yeah. We got to break it out again. Let's do it.
It's time for the news.
Now, there's not a lot of Giants news here in the last couple of days here because we already went over most of it was with the signing of the coaches here. We kind of have his own separate segment here. One thing that did stand out is Bleacher Report's Jordan Schultz says the Giants still believe in Daniel Jones, and the players still do. Which, I don't know about you, but I'm getting goddamn sick of hearing half the people in media saying that and half the people saying the complete opposite.
Well, listen, because it's the New York market. We got half the fans out there that love DJ and will stand up for him.
You think it's that high still?
I'm just being polite.
I'm just checking.
And half the fans that say he's a bum, we got to move on. So when you're trying to make articles to sell and get your advertisement in there, you got to go both sides.
I feel like I see like 25% likes him, 50% respects him, but just thinks it's time to move on, you know, and the other 25 hates him.
I mean, you could go higher and both hates and likes him, but still keep it 50% respect and it's time to move on.
That's not. I feel like it is though.
Like I like the guy. I think he's good, but also think it's time to move on.
Yeah,
I kind of shadow into that, like him, but I don't think he's the player here. I don't hate the guy.
And I respect the work.
Play. Yeah.
I respect the work he puts in. I respect the fact that he's a good face for the franchise. I respect the fact that he is a guy that his teammates seem to enjoy being around. There's a lot to respect about the guy.
Well, he looks like he shops at S Smart.
Yeah, but probably shop smart, shop S Smart. But I do think the biggest problem is he just hasn't progressed like you want a quarterback to progress. He's still playing like a rookie in this year, going into year 6 now. Time to move on.
And this is part of the reason why I still like the guy, but it's time to move on. Like we argue that,
he's going to make somebody a good backup one day.
Oh, 100%. But
that's what he is.
We talked about like how many head coaches he had, how many offensive coordinators that he went through, and last season, not this past 2022, he took us. It was him. He took us to the playoffs. We're all on high horses, and then we didn't have that much playing time with him this year because he tore his ACL. But it was obvious he degressed.
Again, I still think that if you look at the game log of Daniel Jones last year, and then again, we're talking not 23 or 22 when I say last year, because technically the 23 season is still going on until Sunday.
Correct.
The big thing I look at is when he had his good games, which really padded his stats and made it look really good. It was against teams like the Vikings, the Colts, people with the worst pass defense in the entire league. And he destroyed those teams.
Yeah, but when you say destroy, he put up 220 yards compared to 170.
No, I'm just saying, like, look how many games he had, like, barely over 100 yards.
I think his average in 2022 was like 165.
Like I said, to me, I look at it, and I think that's part of it is that we all kind of forgot that to a certain degree. Is that
I didn't forgot that, especially because Barkley was healthy all last year, 2022, and it was running for almost 100 yards every game. And then Jones was running for another 50. So you look at that, you look at your offense putting up 300-400 yards. You're like, all right, that's legit.
All right, here we go. He started off the year 116, 188, 176, 196, 71. 216, 173, 202, 176, 197. That's the start. And that's going now up to the Houston game in 22. After that is when he started facing more bad defenses. The Lions, which had a really bad secondary last year, 341. The Cowboys.
Did he have 2 over 300 yards last year?
He had 2 over 3. Actually, no, he had 3.
Oh.
So then he had the Cowboys and the Commanders.
So the 165 average is probably less.
So then he got the Vikings, the 334 against them. Then got pulled in the halfway point basically against the Colts for 177. Goes and plays the Vikings again for 301 in the playoffs. I'm just saying, I think a lot of what we remember of him was him just beating the crap out of bad secondaries at the latter half of that year. It wasn't that he took over the games and became a star. He played shitty defenses.
Now, was that total yards or was that passing yards?
That's just passing yards.
Okay. All right, so his average in 2022 is probably higher than 165, like I was saying.
I'd have to look it up as exact. I could do
Yeah.
that, but
You don't have to do that. I'm just saying, like,
I want to do the math. But yeah, that's
like
what, like I said.
It's
just to me, it's just ridiculous. It really, it's time to move on, guys. It's time.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Definitely, especially because
here on the yards.
When he was doing that,
I'm looking at the wrong thing.
When he was doing that, we were winning games. He was running for an extra 50+ yards a game. Barkley was healthy. He was running for close to 100 yards a game. So we all looked at him, just went, or total yards is safe for Barkley over 100 yards. So we all looked at it and we're like, yeah, I guess that works. It's all right.
So 200 yards. He literally had 200 yards a game.
Okay, so it was way higher than what I said for the average of 165.
So, but again, it was to beat up on crappy teams. Anyway, we get off the Jones topic. We've talked about that guy enough. Assistant special teams coach Mike Adams, remember he was a former secondary in the league for many years, has interviewed with the Commanders for their DB coaching spot there. So we might lose one more coach, but that's a good thing. I'm happy to lose a coach for him to learn here at the Timex field there and all, and gotten to go on to become a better position elsewhere, where hopefully eventually he can become a head coach or something at that point there and keep growing with his career. I love seeing former Giants become head coach, whether they're players or guys who were just assistant coaches with us, whatever the case may be.
I just don't like
little Giants coaching trees.
I like it. I agree. I just don't like seeing it go to the same conference, same division.
Yeah, it is what it is.
But I'm okay with the Commanders.
I'm more worried about if it was like they hired one of our coordinators that I liked,
Yeah.
Okay, so like I said, not too much on the Giants front, but we do have plenty of news from around the league, so let's go into that. Oh yeah. Chargers hired former Michigan defensive coordinator Jesse Minter for their defensive coordinator spot. So Jim Harbaugh bringing one of his coordinators with him there to LA. And that's been rumored forever, but it's a finally official one. They also hired Greg Roman as their offensive coordinator. What's interesting is, remember, he was the offensive coordinator for many, many, many years under John Harbaugh. So he's going from Harbaugh to Harbaugh there. And what's also interesting is Baltimore Ravens fans hated him. Hated that man. So
this. Do you think Jim and John like each other? You think that when they talk to each other, like, "Hey, should I get this guy?" But oh yeah, it was great.
Yeah, I think they do. I think they're just very competitive at the same point. But I don't think they would maliciously give themselves wrong information unless they were playing each other that week.
Touche.
I thought that's where I'm at there. It's like once it's game time for them, it's time for them to ride. But otherwise, they're not gonna play that kind of game at that point there. Otherwise you're just probably chill out, talk about things going on in the league, and help each other out as best they can. For some reason, I just have this feeling that both of them are actually really family guys. And that's like the soft side of them. That's I don't know. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm reading it wrong. Who knows? We got a Wink Watch here. Wink Watch update. Wink Martindale is considered a serious candidate to become Michigan's new DC. Now there is a defensive coordinator position there. So yeah, that's interesting to watch. He's going to be downgraded to college. I'm sorry. I know it's Michigan. It's still a downgrade. I'm still calling it that. But he's also in the mix for the Cowboys defensive coordinator position still as well. So it sounds like he'll have a job next year, but it sounds like right now it'd be college. Former Jets and Bills head coach Rex Ryan is also interviewed for the Cowboys defensive coordinator spot. I think he hasn't coached in the league since like 2018. In
that ballpark, yeah. I briefly heard that today as I worked completely way too late.
But that's interesting. Like, why would you wait? Why would you try to get a guy who hasn't coached in 5 years?
I mean,
And he's a big personality. Mike McCarthy is known for being a kind of a big personality. Rex Ryan's a big personality.
And you know what? He creates good defenses.
He does, but he also creates issues because he wants to be the center of the attention.
I mean, especially when he was the Jets head coach.
But he wants to be. Listen, you're not the star, you're the coach. I'm not trying to be mean about it, but that's where you're at.
How do you think that? How do you think that Sanchez tattoo looks these days?
I think a few touch-ups, it'll be Dak Prescott in no time. So one last bit of news here. The Tampa Bay Bucks have hired former special teams coordinator of the Giants, Thomas McGahee. So glad to see him land at his feet. He had to go here. Couldn't stay here anymore. But by all accounts, by the players and all, they loved him. They respected him. So I'm glad to see him get back in his feet there. And, hopefully just a change of scenery is enough for him to kind of get everything rolling again in the right direction, because it definitely was not rolling in the right direction for us the last couple of years.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go into the last bit of the comments here, and then we're going to head on out for the night, guys. And then tomorrow will be our Superb Owl preview. Oh, yes, the Superb Owl. No other owl is as superb as this owl.
You're right.
It's the great owl.
9 Chiefs.
Yes.
Owl.
Exactly. Namar says, what do you guys think of Mike Kafka promotion, Shea Turney, and Jerome Henderson? We just went over that. Like I said, again, I like the fact that showing respect to guys that they should have respect for within the quote coaching organization there. Connor says, I need a rub and tug. Cops closed the place I went to. Glad I didn't go that day. LOL. I hate to break it to you, Connor, but if it's like it is in Florida, what they do is they set up a camera and they take videos of everybody coming in and out of the place. And they don't just close it down for the day. They go after everybody who's ever been there. So if you haven't shaved recently, you might want to just change your little hair dye.
Get rid of all your dandruff.
Yeah. Check out the movie The Fugitive. Whatever that guy did, go for it.
Take a bleach bath.
Oh, yes. Well, no. Don't tell him that. He burn himself. He says, every now and then I get a little bit lonely and you're never coming around. Turn around. Every now and then I get a little bit tired of listening to the sound of my tears. Turn around.
Bright eye.
Yeah, every now and then I fall apart.
Brown eye.
Connor says, guess Drew let the old man in. He's messing up. Which could be Toby Keith lyrics. It happens. He's got a lot of songs. People don't remember how many songs he's had, and he start going through the thing. One thing I think kind of sad is that all the stuff I've seen of him, like since he died yesterday, has been like the sick 90-pound version of him. Like show like the lively big version of him. I mean, this guy was a former football player too. He played actually semi-pro leagues over in Oklahoma when he was still living out there.
I've only seen the Brawley version of him, but
cancer, like they hear about, he says that cancer eats somebody alive. Like, yeah, he did not look like himself at all. Like he was barely anything weight to him at all for the last year or so. But yeah, show him happy and healthy more. That's what I want to see. I want to see happy, healthy there. Not because it's like better for me. It's just if I was him, that's how I would have remembered.
100%.
So anyway, I'll get my soapbox about that because I hate when people do that kind of stuff. Oh, here's the last interview. Here's the last performance. No, show me the good stuff before he was sick. That's what I want to remember.
Performance. Show me when he went crazy.
Yeah, do a little red solo cup. He lifts you up. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's have a party. Hey. Deb says, Soto Cup. No, she says, rumor mill, Vrabel will be head coach for the Jets before the draft. Yeah, that's not going to happen. I honestly, they're not going to make that move. If they were to make that move, they would have already done it. Partially because I don't think they make a move without Rodgers' permission. I hate to say it that way, but I really do think he's got that kind of power. He's like He-Man holding the shield and holding the sword. Yeah, I have the power. The power of Grayskull.
The power of Christ compels you.
If it doesn't work, maybe Daniel Jones would be a good New York Giants coach. Listen, I have no problem with that. Usually the best coaches are guys who are like borderline NFL players.
Usually the best coaches are the ones that can't compete.
Yeah. I mean, look at guys like Bill Cowher, Tony Dungy. Look at guys like Bill Parcells, who literally walked away from football in his first training camp. So, yeah, like I said, they're usually borderline guys. Connor says maybe Vrabel goes to the Giants. He's not going to the Giants.
Yeah.
Connor says that news from around the league graphic, is that explosion because the football farted? Of course it is. Sponsored by Taco Bell. If they want to email us at 2giantgoofballs@mail.com. Connor says, always wanted Rex here. I like Rex. I just think it's been too many years. But I do think in the end, the biggest issue is he needs to be a head coach because he's got too big a personality. It's like Wink. Rex would only work if you let him alone, let him do his defense, and let him do whatever the hell he wanted on that side of the ball.
I mean, not that I want to bring it up on the Giants podcast, but I mean, Rex did a pretty good job in the early 2000s for the Ravens.
Listen,
defense.
he did. The Jets totally destroyed that team. It wasn't even Rex Ryan.
No,
we have an okay quarterback, so let's get rid of his running back, wide receivers, offensive line. This will work well. No, it doesn't work well. He wasn't Tom Brady.
No.
Connor says, my friend thinks the red solo cups could have gave Toby Keith cancer. You never know what I think. Oh, no. Stop. Chaos.
Oh, geez.
Chaos, Connor. All righty, guys. Again, we will be live tomorrow night there, giving you guys our superb owl preview. So we'll give you guys all the info on the game here. We may have fun graphics and all from that as well. That'd be fun. It's a little superb owl. So again, keep in mind we are live always on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter /X, Twitch, Instagram.
Drew's LinkedIn page.
He loves my LinkedIn profile. Nothing makes Rob happier when someone comments from my LinkedIn profile.
Oh. Guys, if you're listening, go to Drew's LinkedIn profile and
lights him up like Christmas morning there.
I skipped to work. I do to Carlton. It's not unusual to get happy and giddy when Drew gets a comment on his LinkedIn page.
Anyway, we're also live. Not live, sorry. We're also on there the next day on all the different audio podcast platforms. So usually we're at 5 o'clock in the morning is when the episodes will hit the next morning. Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon, Google, all the big ones there. We're on there. So go ahead and do me a favor, hit like, hit subscribe, and all of those for us, please, if you can. Definitely appreciate it. Share with a friend. That's how we get new listeners. People find out other people half the time. That's our biggest way it spreads.
And where's the caller? Carl's weather. Ding ding on that bell.
Oh gosh. All right, guys. We'll see you guys again tomorrow night as we do that preview there. So keep an eye out there. Appreciate you guys as always. And as always, Giant fans.
Go G-Man!
Go G-Man! G-Man!
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support.
Thanks so much.